వాళ్ళకి మాట్లాడితే వస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు యష్ మిట్టల్ ఆఫ్ మ్యూట్ ఉంది. నేను పెట్టలేదు, ఆన్ పెట్టింది అది. మీరు కూడా ఏం టైం వచ్చారా? మీరు కూడా పాటిస్తారా? కావాలా? ఓ ఫోన్ వస్తుంది. గౌతమ్
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the workshop, engineering workshop and roundtable with Microsoft, co-hosted by ACM at ASU and SODA. Tonight, we are super excited to host two amazing Microsoft professionals share their insights and experience, Ms. Ravali Badri and Padmasini Amber Ganapathy. Both are proud Sun Devil alums who've navigated the journey from ASU to Microsoft. For those who don't know, ACM at ASU is all about connecting students with opportunities, knowledge, and industry leaders. We focus on bridging the gap between you, the students, and some of the best minds in the tech world. Tonight, we'll hear presentations, then jump into a roundtable, and finally open the floor for your questions. Let's get started. First up, I'd like to introduce Padmasini Amber Ganapathy, who brings a wealth of experience from Intel, Qualcomm, and of course, Microsoft. She's worked on everything from embedded systems to machine learning and DevOps, and she has some awesome insights on how to break into the field. Please join me in welcoming Padmasini to the stage.
It's because you can come in like, man, maybe you come in as your second or your first.
Sorry. I can handle the slides. There's a mic there. Sorry. Oh, right now? Later.
Hi, everyone. This is Padmasini. I'm coming from Redmond. I'm working as SD2 currently at Microsoft Defender for Endpoint team. So I'll be going over the paths in the tech engineering. I want to highlight the different engineering career path and skills that helps you succeed. So tech is broad. You don't need to fit into one mold. And engineering needs different skill set across software, infrastructure, AI, and security. Today, the agenda is, today we'll be going over career paths in engineering, in-demand skills, soft skills that matter, AI in everyday engineering, and building your portfolio and final takeaways. So engineering is multifaceted. Like there are many different paths you could choose. Out of them, firmware, DevOps, front-end, data, security, and many more. So you can move between roles depending on your interest and evolving skills. No single path fits everyone. It's about matching strengths with passion. So first we will go over role of a firmware engineer. So I came across firmware engineer when I was working as a software engineer at Qualcomm back in India. So the title doesn't say firmware engineer, but the work consists of a firmware engineer. So what does that mean? So firmware engineer work closely to hardware, which is embedded system microcontrollers. So you write low-level optimized code for device functionality. It is very essential in industries like IoT, automotive, mobile devices. So generally, you know there is application which you would code. So similarly, in firmware engineer, you would be writing code for drivers, keeping hardware in perspective. So you have to write very efficient code, which actually takes less cycles per second and a lot of different hardware-related instructions. So the next one will be going over the DevOps and SRE engineer. So they mainly focus on automation, reliability, and scalability. So have you heard about CI/CD? CI/CD is continuous integration and continuous deployment. What they do is they automate integration and deployment to reduce error and speed up releases. So infrastructure as code ensures consistency and scalability because it manages infrastructure like servers, database, and networks using code. So instead of manually setting up and bringing down a lot of servers, you just have to code the configuration and you can have your system up. So that is the main role of a DevOps engineer, and it's very important in today's industry. Next, we'll go over the software engineer role in a service team. So there are two kinds of role here. One is in a service team and another one is horizontal team. So what does service team mean? If you take one application, any application, so you will be writing features for it, keeping customer in mind. So it will be designing, coding, debugging, and maintaining. So your entire focus is just one application. For example, when I worked at Microsoft, I worked at Visio team, which handles the Visio app, which is among the Microsoft Office. So there I wrote a lot of features, we used to debug, and it's all about Visio app. So next we will go over software engineer role in horizontal team. So currently in Microsoft Redmond, I'm working in a horizontal team. What does that mean? So it's all about building internal libraries, shared services, and frameworks, which helps multiple service team by improving efficiency and quality. So a lot of service team requires tools and a lot of other code support to function in a organization. So currently, we are working on modernizing the entire code base so that it can be silicon agnostic. So that's something a horizontal team generally deals with. It doesn't concern a single application, but it would be for the entire organization. So next, the role of data and ML engineer. So this is trending engineering path because they manages the data pipeline, deploy ML models, and ensure clean data flows. So these teams bridge software engineering with data science. They turn the raw data into actionable insight. And that is really important nowadays because there are a lot of ML models, AI models running, and data is really important to any team. Next one. So we'll go over the security engineer. So every role has a part where you have to be a security engineer. But if you choose to go into the entire security engineer role, then you will be responsible for designing and enforcing security measures. Security is everyone's responsibility, but specialists ensure strong foundation. So just to give you a quick peek, like when I was working at Microsoft in Visio team, I was also responsible for privacy of the entire Visio app. So not just coding, you'll also have to make sure that you are following GDPR and all the privacy regulations as well. And finally, we'll be going over the program manager. So they generally oversee roadmaps, manage requirements, and align cross-functional team. So if you want a project or anything, you would go to a program engineer to get the entire roadmap, and then you will work on creating that. So program engineers are very important, but some teams don't have program engineers. So you will have to act as a program engineer when you start a project. So before going into in-demand skills, I would like to mention that all these areas of path can be separate path or it can be in the single role which you're working as. So it's always important to know about all these areas. So the first in-demand skills are the strong CS fundamentals, such as data structure, system designs. They are non-negotiable. And second thing is CI/CD and containerization, because nowadays everything is cloud-based, and having a system which is containerized is very important. And also privacy. Like we talked, privacy is really important, and without that, we cannot run any application today. So CI/CD, we can skip CI/CD. I went over that. Yeah, we can skip privacy as well. Yeah, AI and ML fundamental is something very important to know, because any job, either you're even mechanical engineer, software engineer, any job today includes machine learning and AI models. So just to have an idea on what it is and how to use it, or use it in 1 or 2 projects, that will be really great for your portfolio. So we'll talk about the soft skills that matter. So first one is, it's about be curious. So always in a job, ask questions, always explore, be it a project or a job. You always want to do something better than someone or innovative. So if you're curious, you can get there. And quality matters always and always, because code that works isn't enough. It should be robust and maintainable. You should always keep up the trust. That means security, reliability, and ethics. Always learn. Tech is always evolving. Like the speed we are seeing right now, it's AI. Tomorrow it can be something else. So always get up to speed and learn. Accountability and collaboration. So you need to be someone who the teammates want to work with. So whenever you go to an interview, the interviewer generally looks for someone who they can work with. If there is an ICM or some issue happening tomorrow, will I be comfortable working with this person like long hours? So that means you need to be accountable and collaborative. So AI in everyday engineering. Today, AI is used in everything. Example, DevOps, security, monitoring, and development. So first we'll go over the code assistant. Today, even in industry, we are using AI, such as GitHub Copilot, where we get to code and just give some prompts to AI, which can actually complete your code. And that is really helpful for the productivity, and it's something good to know about. So always practice it before, like just before the interview or going to a job, you should be familiar with how to use GitHub Copilot to finish a code. So, and one more thing AI is good at is data-driven insight, because we as a human, we cannot look at the data and say what will be the prediction and how is it going. But AI, it can analyze the entire logs or the data and predict the future in the sense like what could happen tomorrow. And that is really helpful for an engineer to make better decisions. So automation and monitoring. This is really important, because in job you will come across writing some part of the code in every services. Imagine there is 100 services. How would you write a code? So you just can bring AI or machine learning, write prompts, and then get it done in 10 minutes. And that really helps boost productivity in companies. So when using AI, it's really important to consider risk like bias, privacy leaks, and misuses. Engineer needs to be proactive about responsible AI development. Next. So we'll talk about building your portfolio. One important thing is to have end-to-end project rather than doing some sector of the project, because that gives you like exposes you to a lot of difficulty what an engineer would face in a company from day-to-day life. Like you will be given a project which you have to start from designing, talking to people, collecting data, seeing what, making a design, entire design, and seeing, debugging it if it fails, and then sending it to production. That means CI/CD, which is continuous integration and continuous deployment. So it's really important to have real world projects and that to end to end. And I would suggest having a real world internship would really help your portfolio, because doing an academic project is different than doing an professional project. You there, even your personality or how you carry out your discussion or how you face difficulty, would you just give up, or do you really like work hard and complete the projects? There are a lot of things which comes into picture. So having an industry internship would give you an overview on how the life would be as an engineer. And I would recommend to have cross-functional experience, like we have gone across different career paths, which has every like DevOps or horizontal team, service team. So if you are planning to stand out from many people, then I would suggest to have cross-functional experience, which would make your profile much desirable for a hiring manager. Always have online presence, because nowadays, even before someone HR is contacting you for a job interview, they would definitely go to your LinkedIn profile, GitHub profile, and check what have you done so far, what are you posting, what are your interests or your networking skills. Because in company, it's really important. How do you network? How do you collaborate? And having an online presence really helps you in that area. So the final takeaway is, so pick one skill and one project to focus on today, and join communities like ACM to build networks and showcase curiosity, innovative, and impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmasini. Next, we have Ravli Badri, a software engineer at Microsoft who is an ASU MS in CS alum. She's worked on various projects at Fidelity Investments, interned at Microsoft, and then transitioned into a full-time role. She's passionate about helping new grads thrive in the tech industry. Let's welcome Ravli to the stage.
Hi, everyone. So good to see you all. Thanks, Padmasini, for sharing such broad context on all the different parts. I think mine will mostly focus on just software engineering and real-world perspective around that. But I'll get started with my introduction. So I'm Ravli Badri, currently working at Microsoft as a software engineer, specifically on the Azure Storage Platform and Repairs team. I completed my master's in computer science here at ASU, so it's really special to be back. Thanks, ACM, for the opportunity. And yeah, so I first arrived in ASU when I moved to the US, so this is truly where my journey began. Um, and it's special to be back. It feels like home. And to be honest with you all, I'm not a hardcore tech enthusiast, meaning I might not know the latest languages or the latest frameworks off the top of my head. But what I do love is problem solving, right? That's where I thrive. Uh, so give me a problem in the wild, something that's messy, undefined, but I can jump in, figure out who needs to be involved, pull the right people in, figure out what needs to be solved, and deliver results without any chaos. That's where I thrive the most. Um, so I'll talk about software engineering more in that perspective, and hopefully by the end of this talk, you'll all be confident not just about the tech side, but also about the human side, because often success in tech is not just about knowing everything, but it's also about figuring out things and working with people. So let's see. Okay, so the first slide here really talks about how as software engineers, we structurally have a workflow that takes features that are still at the idea level to something that has valuable, impactful deliverables, right? So I'll start with a quote that says, which Elon Musk says, the most important skill of a great engineer is not coding, it's the ability to think critically and solve problems. Right, and on the right side, I have a workflow that lists what are all the general life cycle in the engineering world. And before I get into that, I'll just also point out that it may not be always as rigid. It depends on the company you're working in, the project you're working in, the maturity of the team, it can differ, but this is generally what happens. So it starts from understanding the requirements, right? So is it a new feature or is it a bug fix that we're trying to solve? So understanding what are we trying to solve is the step one always. And then we see who are the stakeholders, right? Whom are we solving it for? And sometimes this might be end users, sometimes this might just be internal teams or something you're fixing for your own team. So understanding the stakeholders comes in. And then next is the minimum viable product. So that really means what is it that's most essential for this product to be delivered. So having that defined ensures that from day one, um, you are always building the right things, the ones that are most essential, and not getting caught up in doing everything at once. Defining MVP helps you stay focused and then build things as per priority. And then we have the definition of done. Often this is debatable because um, sometimes it's about is your product working well in the test environment? Or sometimes maybe it's about have end users tried it on? Have they said that everything is working as expected? So definition of done can be different, or sometimes it could just be about metrics. Is this metric going up, coming down? So defining that definition of done will help you understand your finish line, basically, right? And then we have breaking down the problem. Now that you've established your finish line, the problem that you're trying to solve, you then come to the step of dividing it into smaller, manageable chunks. And then you write design docs for it. That's when you sit down with your teammates and often discuss trade offs like scalability, performance issues, and other things, right? And maybe even figure out dependencies with other teams. That kind of stuff happens with design discussions. And then finally, we get into writing the code based on all the things we have established so far. So you might follow best coding practices that your team has established and all of that. Then you would have peer reviews, making sure that the code is following the standards. And if there's something you missed, your peers might help point it out. And then comes the testing. Some companies focus on unit testing, some might focus on integration testing. Depends on the company, depends on what the project requires. And then finally comes the deployment. What is important is even after deployment, are you actually monitoring and taking feedback from users and improving it iteratively, right? Making sure that the product is meeting the requirements, satisfying all the metrics that you've set during the definition of done is equally important. So that's the general workflow. And since we have so many steps, one thing I kind of try to follow and keep in mind is those three W's, which says, what are we trying to achieve? What does success look like? And who are the stakeholders? So whenever you're trying to work on a project, always keeping these three things in mind will help us move in the right direction. Okay, so the next slide here is something that I've learned is our job as engineer is not just about writing code, but it's really about solving problems. And that sounds obvious, but it goes a little deeper because you, you really need to understand, are you the kind of person your team can rely on when there is a problem, when you're stuck with a situation, when there is a misalignment in the team, when there's a blocker? Are you someone whom your team can approach and help solve the problem, help move the project in the right direction? And even leaders and seniors in the team often like and they encourage questions, like they like to be questioned and challenged. So are you really challenging assumptions, or are you just following instructions? Matters a lot, right? And then I kind of like to think it in a three point framework, which is own it, unblock it, and question it. We'll just move to the next slide, Yash. Right. So own it, meaning when you're assigned a task, right? Are you really thinking about the impact of that work? What impact is it going to have? Are you thinking about the bigger picture? Shows that you're really owning the project and that you're really responsible. And then unblocking, right? Like I said, there may be there may be some confusion around requirements. Are you trying to pull in the right people, the right teams across, and clarify requirements and put across, hey, that this is what we need to do to unblock here, and then question it. Like I said, um, it's always important that when there is a feature discussion or something, if you have questions, or even if just trying to understand why are we choosing this approach over other things is equally important. It shows that you care and that you feel responsible and that you own it. So that these three qualities here are very important. Now, as students, you might also think that all this is good, but how do we show it in our resume? How do we show it in our design interviews, right? So um, oh, I think I will just stay there. So for Own It, it could be anything, right? It could be your club, any side hustle project. You could say that, hey, I was not waiting for instructions. So maybe there was a pause in your project and you have come up with a draft proposal about something. So you could mention that in your resume. And even unblocking things, like maybe there was an API requirement that was very unclear. So you emailed someone, or you held a meeting with a couple of people and you figured out the requirements clearly. You can mention that. And then question it is a great one for design interviews, because let's say uh, let's take yeah like let's say someone asks you design a ride sharing app or something. You could ask questions like, who are the users? What are we trying to build it for? Are we optimizing cost? Are we optimizing time? Or are we optimizing reliability? What is the environment this is going to run in, right? What is the minimum viable product? Such kind of questions show that um, you're actually thinking about it, and it kind of reflects your qualities as a true engineer, rather than just memorizing the solution. So these are important. And then even in your resumes, I would say always use action words instead of just listing the items that you do. So that, I think, that will make you stand out. Yeah. Okay. So the next question is something that the ACM team has asked me, like, what do software engineers do in their day-to-day life? um, right? And before I get to that, that's just like a breakdown, but okay, I'll just go through that first. So yeah, some of the time goes through PR reviews where I review code from other teammates, but it's not always about just reviewing, but it also helps us to learn and give thoughtful feedback. So that's one part of it. And then comes coding, where I kind of try to code for manageable chunks. You often work on bigger features, but on a single day, you can only achieve a certain portion of that. So setting up smaller goals for the day for a portion of the code is something I do. And then, yeah, writing design docs, identifying dependencies, and then documenting those is one part of it. And even reviewing design docs from other teammates, that's the other one. And then some part of it goes into meetings, stand-ups, sync-ups, where we try to align as a team and see what everyone is working on, and then share those with each other, or help unblock other members, or hold discussions with other stakeholders. So that's one part of it. And then if you're on call, some of your time might also go into help debug production issues, customer impacting bugs, things like that. And then, yeah, team initiatives and feedback is something that's going to be ongoing, not very technical, but like the human side of it, where you hold just like activities for improving team culture and other things. So again, one thing I would like to highlight here is that having a structure is good, but we shouldn't be really too rigid about it, because if you're very, I like to stay adaptable to this structure, because if you're too rigid and if you're too structured, you might miss out on opportunities to grow. Let's say there's a pressing issue that really needs your attention. I think that's what you should really step into, even though it kind of kills your important work for a certain period of time. That should be okay. Yeah, and then one thing that really helps me to stay motivated and stay aligned with the work I do is always linking my work to the bigger mission, right? Like I might get um, work and feature of just building a particular API or doing a certain feature, but how does it really link to the bigger mission of Microsoft itself? Like I work for Azure Storage, for example, and if we think about Microsoft's mission, is it's really about enabling and empowering people to achieve more. And then comes in the Azure Storage machine, which is building the world's scalable and reliable cloud storage platform. And then comes in different storage offerings. And then in one of those offering comes in my team. And then in one of those offering comes in the repair team, then where we ensure there's no offline capacity and there's automated repairs happening. And then comes in my API and my feature that I develop. But making sure that I understand where my feature fits in the bigger picture helps me not just not just understanding the bigger mission, but also helps me build my brand, right? When I present myself as a strategic thinker because I know how this links to the bigger mission and the vision of the company. So that's equally important. Yeah, I think we'll move to the next slide. Okay, yeah, this one I think it's kind of underrated, because once you get into full-time job, we kind of get lost in meetings and reviews and sprint discussions and all of that learning takes a backseat. But it's extremely important to carve out that time to learn on an everyday basis, not just in terms of the latest technologies or anything, but just understanding your project at an architectural level, understanding how your project relates to other teams, how other teams are operating. All these things become really important once you step into the real world of software engineering. So even just probably having discussions with teammates on what they're working on, what are some things that they've learned from recent issues, also become very important. So I would say carve out time to learn and maybe setting up expectations with managers or team members that, hey, I'll take like 1 to 2 hours every week to do this, might help. Yeah. Yeah, and then this slide about think ahead and be the change maker. A lot of we're seeing a lot of revolution now around AI and productivity and how we're leveraging AI for productivity. So as students, as you step into your careers now, I would say that this is somewhere you can really lead, right? A lot of people who are already in the industry, not everyone is as adaptive to AI as yet, which I think you all would be more, because the ones that are already working, I feel honestly that they're very much caught up in terms of commitments and deliverables that there is so much resistance to learn anything new. But as students, when you step in and if you can really show how AI can be leveraged to improve their productivity, like I think so far we had AI just to do tasks like code completion or suggestions, but now we're getting into something even cooler like agentic mode, where it handles all the tasks on its own, breaks down tasks, does things, and then revalidates even based on the outputs, right? So if you all can maybe be the change makers there, think ahead for the team, that'll be a huge deal, and that's a great opportunity to think of. Okay, I think we've reached towards the end of my presentation. Um, I think I'll share something that I think is personally very important and something that might be worth to reflect in on your own journey as well. I feel that a lot of people get caught up in thinking that success means working for the right company or on a specific technology. But I feel that that's not the case, because as engineers, like I said, we are problem solvers. Any company or technology is just really a vehicle for that problem solving ability. Um, any company can become a great company when you add value to it, and technologies always come and go. But what truly matters is your problem solving ability, and that will always stay.
I'll
Um,
take that. You can just
so
take the question.
and personal story here is that when I joined Microsoft, I heard a couple of opinions say that, hey, it's a retirement company, it's too slow, you might not grow soon, there might not be scope for growth and all of that. But if you see today, Microsoft is at the forefront of AI innovation. And I might not be directly involved with any of building AI frameworks or any of that, but I do know that I'm contributing to a bigger mission, and that I really find my work challenging and rewarding, and that's what matters. So don't get caught up in thinking that I need to find the right company or technology. It's great if you land a job in the company that you've always dreamt of or on the technology that you've always wanted to work on. But if that doesn't happen, that's okay. Because like I said, our ability as engineers doesn't end there. Um, and then, yeah, something that gets forgotten in the whole fast-paced world of engineering is the human side of it, right? In my experience so far, the most successful and the happiest engineers are those who build great relationships with their mentors and with the team they work on. So I would say always be kind and empathetic and be collaborative, because these are really fundamental values that enable us to create a collaborative atmosphere. Um, yeah, and um, I feel like these relationships with your peers, mentors, is what stays on long after the project ends. So that's really important. Um, yeah, so I think we'll take these values back with us about being kind, empathetic, and hopefully we create a collaborative environment where all of us can thrive. Um, yeah, and that's about it. Hope this adds some value to you all. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you both. Thank you both for those great presentations. It's fascinating to see the different paths that lead to Microsoft. Now let's transition to our roundtable segment where we'll explore more in-depth questions about your experiences, lessons learned, and industry insights. We have Tane from Soda to take over. I'd like you to please have a seat here.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Tane from the Software Developers Association here at ASU. So moving on for the roundtable section, I think we have a few questions. We have a few sections predefined. Let's start with the personal journeys and Microsoft culture. Could each of you share what was the defining moment of your master's program or internship that made you say, "Oh, okay, I want to go for Microsoft, and that's my company. Like that's where I want to work at."
So I would say before coming to masters, I worked at Microsoft, and that gave me an idea on how the Microsoft does and how the work culture is there. So that I always had in mind that I want to go back to Microsoft, but once Microsoft became the forefront of AI and technology, and doing courses related to that, example cloud computing or any related courses, that would always bring my thought back to Microsoft, like the culture there or the technology and the projects you get to work on is really interesting problem set. So at the end of my masters, I was really sure I wanted to get into Microsoft, whatever the team it is, because I do know at the end it's a very good company to work at.
Yeah, sure. I'll share my perspective here. So for me, I think team culture and the company culture was a huge factor for me. So when I worked for internship, I kind of didn't find toxic competition culture, which is very common these days in tech companies. I haven't seen that, at least in my org. And that's something that really has drawn me towards Microsoft. And the way that people there are so collaborative and so welcoming. And even managers, they emphasize so much on career growth that actually when I joined my internship, I was doing a lot of front end. And even back in Fidelity, I was doing a lot of front end. And that's something I didn't enjoy when I for a long time, and I wanted to make a shift towards doing a lot of back end stuff. And when I spoke about it, they were so encouraging and helped me learn and grow. Um, and having an environment like that and culture like that truly matters for your career growth. So that was really the moment for me. I said Microsoft is where I want to be.
Sorry, you'll have to excuse me for this. That sounds pretty much what I think most of the people here wanted to hear. Moving forward with the next question, I think a lot of people here are curious about what's your day-to-day like in Microsoft. Like, uh, what are your meetings or your obligations for the day, and how does that go about? Do you have?
Sure. I think I covered it in my presentation as well, but really depends on the team. I don't think there's a one size fit answer for all across Microsoft. At least within my team, um, it also still differs day to day. I would say, like, let's say if there are too many production issues on a day, there's hardly anything else we get to do apart from really looking into those. So other than that, the general workflow that I shared, like meetings, PR reviews, coding, and then design discussions, stand ups, is what constitutes generally.
So for me, I work in a horizontal team. So for us, the project changes so fast because once we achieve the target, we move on to second project. So this includes collaborating with several teams. So you need to be good at clarifying doubts or writing it down and um, documenting and then carrying it the work on their service. So we are entering their territory. So here I would say for me every day I learn new things. So you're going and working on a different service, so you will have to know what it does and how our changes will uh, change the service as a whole in terms of performance or bug fixes or anything. So collaboration is very important part of my day. And then some part of it obviously has meeting or sync up, but rest of the time I would be working on code changes.
That sounds about the work that you do. Not too heavy on each individual. Moving forward, I'll see Microsoft has a variety of teams with each team having their own culture and pace. What do you say your team fits in? Like, what's your, like, how would you describe your team as a cultural fit for an individual if they were to, like, see Microsoft as an example? Are you more in like uh, move fast and break things, or like do you value taking time, taking things slow, and delivering a quality product in the end?
Um, uh, there's a lot of pressure on Azure as such because of its demand, and just Microsoft's vision for Azure as well. Um, and I think so far, at least, we've been in move fast, break things zone. But I think right now, security and quality are becoming really like top priorities and core priorities for Microsoft. So um, I think we are slowly moving towards thorough planning and execution phase. But as of now, we are in the move fast, break things zone, I would say. Yeah.
For us, it's definitely thorough planning and execution because we are working on a different service from a different team. So we have to be really sure on what we are doing and what the outcome is. So there'll be a lot of planning involved before we even take up the project. And then we'll be concluding with showing the metrics and proving things are working fine and all the changes were good. So space, I guess space is not that important for us. Quality is really important in our team.
So I think what we all can infer from that is it's mostly spaced out between teams, how different teams work, and it's not particularly the environment of the entire company.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds nice. Moving forward, what's one big project or challenge you've tackled at Microsoft recently, or maybe in the past, that really pushed your technical or soft skills?
Um, I think in my area, something that I'm recently working on, I would say, since I work for Azure Storage, and there are so many different storage offerings, and to meet different customer workload demands, right? And then my team mainly focuses on the repair architecture for different storage offerings, and we're kind of right now building a repair platform that's agnostic to the storage offering itself and the underlying architecture. And then I am kind of leading that project. So really thinking in terms of really zooming out and understanding the bigger picture there, and kind of coming up with limitations like throttling, and then how are we going to be really agnostic about the underlying architecture, because everything is going to be different with each storage offering. And then so that is something that I am really having to push my technical skills but also my soft skills, because it's really undefined and vague at this point. So it needs to there is a demand for being very collaborative and pulling in people from all the teams and really understanding. And then even technically I would have to say that although the problem sounds although it's something very new that we're building, as engineers it's important to maybe not always think about new solutions also, but it's also important to think, can we leverage what is existing and what is already there? um, so yeah, that's something I'm focusing on too.
Uh, just to be clear, can you repeat the question again?
Oh, okay. So it says, what's one big project or challenge that you've tackled at Microsoft that really pushed your technical or soft skills?
Yes. So currently, my journey in Microsoft has been always changing. Before I was a engineer in a service team, and then I was a privacy driver, and now I'm working in a horizontal team where it requires me to learn uh, different technology every single day. And I'm currently working on a project where I'm building a dashboard. So that means I'll have to learn about data, data analyst, all that area. So recently we have come across automation, which is using AI, machine learning. So that is really interesting so far, because we are trying to achieve what we are doing every day, which might take 2 months, 3 months in just a day. And then that is really interesting, but it's really hard to get there because we need to give the prompts to AI in a way that it does the task. That's the new technology I'm learning. And then the main problem I come across in a team is to convince the service team that what changes are we doing, or explaining them the need for it. So here, soft skills is something I'm working on, and it has been really interesting journey.
I think what I picked up most was look for existing solutions. I think we all engineers can take a page out of that book. Uh, Going forward with the next questions, it's industry trends and AI, my favorite. Uh, Given Microsoft's huge focus on Azure and AI and new technologies in general, what emerging trends do you see shaping the future of software engineering?
I would say definitely a lot of AI will be there in Microsoft. Even today, we are encouraged to use AI in our work. Before, there was little fear that how about data leak or what's happening with AI. But we have a lot of trainings in AI, Copilot, everything that we are comfortable today to use that in our task. And I would say in future, definitely there would be a lot of usage of AI, which would help us be productive in the work and solve complex problems, because we don't have to sit and do repetitive tasks. Otherwise, if AI was not there, engineer had to do that. So definitely, I would suggest skill up in AI. It will really be helpful.
Yeah, I totally agree to what Padmasini shared. I think Copilot trend is going strong. I think that's here to stay. And like I said, I think agentic mode is something that is going strong right now. And then even for the agentic mode, I think it's still in the beginning phase, but I think there's no standard way of sharing context with these agents, right? How do they have context across your repos? And all your docs, and there's no standard protocol for sharing that context. So I think some focus is being laid right now in Microsoft, building such protocols. And then I was having this conversation before coming here with some of the folks from AI team at Microsoft, and they said that really these LLMs that are right now in use can only take us to one point. A lot of leaders just believe that they can only take us one point, but AI is not, they say that AI is not really thinking. It's just that it's trained on a large data set. So it just knows a lot more. But I think there's more potential and that we're still in the very early phases, is what I've been hearing.
Okay, I think we can move to the next question. It's how is AI shaping tasks with Microsoft, and do you see AI automating repetitive tasks, or is it learning more towards assisting developers and engineers in creative ways?
Definitely, definitely there's focus on automating repetitive tasks for sure, like at least PR reviews or builds and deployments, and then identifying security and compliance issues. Anything that's repetitive, I think we're definitely leveraging AI there. Um, I don't think it's something that can replace an engineer because there still needs to be manual intervention or human intervention to assess accuracy of what it tells us. Um, but definitely, I think as engineers, one thing that we really need to adapt is to leverage these tools for sure. And then what was the other part of the question? Sir?
It says, do you see AI automating repetitive
Aut-
tasks, or is it leaning more towards assisting developers and engineers in creative ways?
Because it just has it just learned a lot of different ideas and it has lots of data. So it might give you ideas that you were not aware, but I don't think it's completely new and it can come, but I don't think it can come up with completely new and something. So yeah, I think AI might be still nicely does, but AI might just help you build that. It's just as part of the work rather than an entire work, because the work we come across every single day changes and the challenges we are facing with the work changes. So AI is something where you feed the knowledge base and then it does the repetitive task or make your work easier so that you can concentrate on the bigger picture.
Okay, for our final question for the section, I think the mic is off. Can you just check?
Hello, can you hear that? No?
It's better.
Yeah, I think we. Okay, so
Check.
yeah, should be good. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so for our final question of the section, for those students who haven't specialized in AI or data analysis, what advice would you give on quickly acquiring relevant skills to remain competitive?
Just from software engineering perspective, it's totally fine if you don't know about LLMs or the underlying infrastructure itself. But what is really important is definitely understanding and adapting how to leverage the existing AI tools to improve productivity. Just like how in our resumes right now we have tools and then we say Vision Studio, Eclipse, Splunk, and all of things. I think a new column is going to get added there which says AI tools, and then we say GitHub Copilot. So I think that's what it probably help for students or for anyone who's like looking for new. So leveraging the existing AI tools, I would say, is really important, at least in the software engineering stream. My advice is, if you're really interested in building AI, then definitely take a course which will dig into the basics of how to build an AI. But generally in companies nowadays, they are more interested in using an AI rather than building everything. So if you can do
I think those were some fantastic answers that we were all. Okay, I think these were some fantastic answers that we were all waiting for. I now would like to hand over to Ryan Wu, President at the Software Developers Association.
So I'll be taking orientation. I see. I'll be taking over for the remaining portions of the presentation, guiding the Q&A portion. I would ask the guest presenters here, if you could make sure when you're holding the condenser microphone to keep it even distance from your mouth and it's pointing directly to your mouth, kind of like what I'm struggling to do with this smaller microphone. It needs to, for the pickup pattern online, I think it needs to be orientated in that way. Okay. Let me clip this. All right, so our third section will be on skill development and career advice questions. So the first of these questions is regarding what you believe the most in-demand skills are. So from your vantage point, as you're no longer junior developers, you're level 2 engineers at Microsoft, correct? Your position at Microsoft is not considered junior level? Is SDE2 would be, yes, so that would be considered like a standard engineer at this point, right? So from your vantage point, what technical or soft skills are most in demand right now at Microsoft specifically or in the industry in general? Yes.
Can't hear.
Is that better, John?
It's still not working. Can you share your microphone with her?
I guess we could swap. Yeah.
Hello, hello. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, like I said, coding is something that they would definitely look for coding in.
Stopped working again.
Okay.
Yeah, we can swap. We can swap. If you're, I don't know if clipping on would work. I'll make sure this doesn't get pulled away. If you leave it on your lap.
Okay. Is this okay? Okay.
Yes.
Used to this, but okay. So yeah, definitely coding. And then in interviews, they would also, based on your experience, they would look at your design aspect. If based on whatever you put in your resume, your interview would be tailored as per that. But specifically from Azure storage, since I work in that area, I would say any experience in distributed systems, file systems, cloud would be really beneficial for a role in Azure storage. Yeah, and then again, I think people will always look for, because a lot of people kind of meet that bar, right? Coding and then technical skills definitely meet that bar. So I think really problem solving abilities, and then are you able to own a project and deliver results is something that will always stand out, and that will kind of make you stand out from the rest of the crowd.
Yes, soft skill is really important because in a day, like we presented, that coding is just partial. Like for example, 10 to 20% of our time will be coding. Rest of the time, it's all about designing or discussion with the teammates or discussing ideas or just talking to the teammates just to know that what they are working on and leveraging their work if it's important and it's needed in your task. So soft skills are really important, such as communication and all the like being trustworthy, taking accountability, because they are, at the end of the day, they are looking for someone who they can work with. So you can be that someone by gaining all the skills, take a project, work with your teammates, and try to share feedback with each other and improve.
I would just like to add +1 on the communication part. I think really communicating ideas in a way that everyone can understand and easily in a simpler way. I think that is really important. And with the whole remote work after the COVID phase, something that's becoming equally important is writing design docs, right? Are you able to translate ideas very well that can be easily understood by the entire team? I think that's really becoming important as well.
Pandemic has had an impact on the dynamic.
Definitely, yeah. Right, right.
Got a question, the second question in this section, increased pace a bit here, regarding project building. Many of our students wonder how to stand out in their resumes with the project section that this is reference to. What type of personal projects or experiences do you think would be eye-catching to recruiters?
Do you have an answer?
What I did last year, because I graduated from ASU last year, what I did to stand out in such a difficult economy is that you need to see, like you cannot predict what the team is working on, because when a recruiter comes and talk to you, they're gonna just talk from the higher level. You don't even know what team it is, what they're working on. So it's really helpful if you could add the projects involving different areas of technology, like for example CI/CD, or being like privacy, AI, or anything. Like you just pick a project and try to include all these factors in it. For example, you have used AI to write some part of the code, maybe just frame it in a way and try to have knowledge about different areas that today tech is using. Like in day-to-day life, we use a lot of tools. So if you're experienced with a few unique tools, please note that down, because that's really helpful when shortlisting a resume or selecting a candidate.
Yeah, I think Padmasini covered most of it all. So definitely those, but I might not have the most wanted answer, but I would say that as much as you try to stand out and all, but getting your resume picked up is also about luck, I would say. Like your resume getting picked up by the right person on the right day has a lot. It's so I would say don't take rejections personally. It's also a matter of time and luck, I would say.
There's a lot of luck as big numbers game. Networking is important to get in front of the right people as well.
For sure.
Some of the highlights there was include skills used in the project or tools used in the project.
Right.
The third question in this section now is regarding staying up to date. This is a rapidly moving field. How do you keep your skills and knowledge fresh? What resources or communities are you involved in that you think help you stay up to date on current technologies?
For me, I would say, like I said, after you get into a full-time role, learning kind of takes a backseat, and it's something that I'm struggling with as well to really find out time for learning. But I would, I don't really follow a conventional way of shortlisting a couple of articles or a couple of websites that I follow, but I think I focus more on just surfing for a particular topic when it's needed for me. Like let's say I'm working on something new that I don't know so far, that's when I would really like learn about it, because I also feel that I might just forget if I just learn it out of the blue, out of nowhere. So that's something I try to follow. And then internally Microsoft has a lot of learning groups and all of that, so sometimes joining those can be helpful. Like right now, I think this might be of interest to you all as well, there's this AI skills fest going on by Microsoft. It's a 50-day learning skills fest there, where there are like a lot of different courses related to AI. So that's something that I'm participating in. So, and it's open to everyone across, like students, business professionals within the company, outside the company, everyone. So that's something you all can leverage too.
So I would say, yeah, whatever Ravali said, and also um, discussing with the different teammates, because they have come across new technology which would help, and then you'll go and explore about it. So that's one way I'm trying to learn about new technology used inside Microsoft, and also try to read articles whenever possible and see how it can be leveraged in your work. Definitely, mentor is really important. As a student, I always used to take advice from people who have done this thing, and somewhere they are at a position where I'm aiming to be at. So mentorship is really important to understand what should I do different or how to get there. And even at Microsoft, we have mentorship program where we can match with mentors, and then they will guide us and then give ideas or help us reach where we want to.
Definitely, we have some internal mentorship programs that kind of match you with a mentor, and then it's always great to just learn how different teams operate and how people are doing different things, to even just smaller things like how they organize their one-on-ones with manager. You can always learn about different perspectives. I've never had a mentor when I was a student, uh, but I had a good network of friends. I would say that we all kind of used to learn together, code together, and like prepare for exams together. So, yeah, but that was about it.
Thank you for that. I'm going to keep switching this mic on and off because if it's low on battery to try to get these sections in. But that sounds great. So you mentioned that at the company, I assume when you're first onboarded, you are assigned a mentor, someone dedicated you could ask questions to.
Interns definitely have mentors. As full timers, some teams might. I didn't have a mentor as
I
a
see.
full timer, but there have been some internal mentorship programs which I've participated in, and so through those I was assigned a mentor.
I see.
It's
So
inside of
interns.
the team, outside of the org, but like at a higher level.
I see, at
Yeah.
higher level. So when you moved full time, there were still
Right.
those opportunities there.
Right.
Okay. All right. So advancing the slide to advice for aspiring engineers. So this first question is regarding internship tips. Both of you started at Microsoft as interns and then received full offers, is my understanding, return offers, is my understanding. What's the key to converting an internship into a full-time role?
Internship to full-time role, I think showing all those qualities that we've just discussed so far, right? Like obviously delivering results is number one priority. As interns, you would all most often be allocated smaller tasks with set goals, with clear scope. So delivering results is definitely top priority. But then really showing that you can own things and that you really care, and so showing qualities of ownership, accountability, and asking questions, even challenging assumptions, really kind of put you across as a real engineer. So I think those are all important things that one needs to think of during their internship.
So for me, I didn't do internship at Microsoft. I interned at Intel and then joined as a full-time at Microsoft. But generally, I would advise being an intern means you take work more seriously, that you want to impress the team so that they consider you for a full-time. So always be curious, take up the work, and like do your best. Like if it's a project, definitely you would reach the end goal, but try to do one step ahead, like extra thing. What would make this job much better? Maybe present metrics or anything, whichever is related to the project. Go an extra step that would impress the team and definitely would help in converting to full time.
Okay, thank you guys. So we're going to try to get to audience Q&A soon, so I'm just going to combine the last couple of questions here. The first half would be common pitfalls. What are some major mistakes you see new grads or early career professionals making? How can they avoid them? And what is one piece of advice you wish someone had given you during your final years as a student?
One mistake I see people doing it, like from my experience of 6 years, I have seen a lot of juniors join the company, but they are not hungry for knowledge sometimes. Like if a project is given, you should take it as, yes, this is a big project, I need to do my best. If the project is even the small one, like it's not that interesting sometimes, still you need to show your best. If you are going to say, no, I can't, I don't like it, I don't want to do it, that would show to a team that, okay, you're not someone who is adaptable, because sometimes you'll have to do automating tasks, sometimes you'll have to do big projects. So project changes from time to time. So you need to really be open for any projects and give your best.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point. I would say, like, I think attitude matters. Like, right, it's not always about what you want to do, right? It's most of the times it's about what's necessary. So, are you rising up to the occasion to do what's necessary? Will also matter. So, you ask pitfalls, but like if you kind of turn that question around and say, what are the most important things that junior or like earlier in career students need to do, and then if you don't do that is what I would say pitfalls. So like Padmasni said, really showing that interest to do what's necessary, and then building trust is very, very important. So when they assign some work to you, are you really owning it up, and then building that trust among from the team? um, that is equally important.
Thank you so much. That's the end of the guided portion of this Q&A session. We're now going to open it to questions from the audience. So anyone who has a question, please raise your hand. I'll try my best to run over and give you the mic. And yeah, any volunteers? We got one here.
So we mostly talk about like all the technical stuff, like the skills we need, the soft skills we need, like everything was great in that sense. I think my question is just going to be less about like working with Microsoft and more about like, what are your hobbies? How does Microsoft like enable you to have time to like practice those hobbies? How do you see your work-life balance? I think that's my final question. How does it enable it?
Sure. I think like the first question in this Q&A, like when I said team culture was really important for me, and that kind of drove me choosing Microsoft. So and because of the culture there, because of the support that managers give you, and the kind of support they offer, saying that hey, we're there, if even if someone's like fully buried with a lot of work or commitments, people do understand. So I think that having that support is like a big factor that can really bring just so much peace, right? And then not having that toxic competition culture is again a big factor, I say. So my hobbies generally revolve around, I like to cook a lot. so so on Sundays it's mostly about meal planning for the entire week. I don't do meal prepping, but it's like meal planning, and then I decide what's breakfast, lunch, and then sorting those groceries is something that I enjoy. And I'm grateful that I have time to cook at least 2 to 3 times a day, which I don't see a lot of people doing. So I would say that that's something I enjoy. Yeah.
Do you have like any recommendations, any like plates that you really enjoy like cooking, preparing, that you like could like recommend to us?
A place?
No, like a plate or a
Dish.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
I like Indian food. I eat Indian food a lot. So chicken biryani is yeah, that's my favorite.
that's
Do you know biryani?
sorry.
You know the dish biryani? Are you aware of it?
No,
Okay.
not really. But like I can search for it. That's
You
fine.
should try that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll search for it. Thank you.
Any more volunteers? Any more questions? Oh,
Yeah, so hello, can you hear me? Yeah, so I heard that as you said before, Microsoft have like a very, not have, but I heard some rumors that Microsoft have a very laid back culture compared to other big tech company. So I don't know if that is the case for Microsoft because like I know a friend of mine, he's from 60 to 61. He's transferring, like he's in the title transferring right now. And he worked like his ass off, like he worked a lot. So I don't know if the rumors about the laid back culture at Microsoft is true, but can you, no, it's not true.
Yeah, we don't agree because every day our managers uh, tell us that think how you could do this work better, or there is a competitive spirit in us, not in negative way, but in positive way, where they always encourage you to explore whatever interest you have. Like the project is given to you, so it's on you now. You want to just sit and do it in the way we know it, or you want to explore the new technologies, new things, and aggressively complete it before the given time. So the one thing is like they give you a lot of freedom. So it depends upon you how you want to take it forward. So if you are unable to take it forward in aggressive way, they will let you, because they will give you time to learn, adapt, and then in future they will assess you based on the next project. But definitely the mentorship or the culture in Microsoft is really good in terms of how they treat you, how much space they give you, and the respect they give you, and the work-life balance. So I would definitely disagree with the laid-back culture.
Sure, thank you for that.
any more questions from anybody in the audience?
So I would like to extend a huge gratitude to Ravli and Padmasini for taking out the time to share their expertise and real-world insights. It's been a pleasure hearing your stories. Let's give them both a big round of applause. We'd like to offer you a merch from ACM. On behalf of ACM at ASU, we'd like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. If you want to learn more about our upcoming events, check out our websites. Thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Can I have all the officers here so we can have a picture?
T-shirts.